The delivery truck lumbered down my quiet suburban street like a roaming thundercloud, rattling over the speed bumps the Hoa had oh so proudly installed. I had been waiting all week for this exact moment. My brand new, ridiculously gigantic 75-inch TV. My little apartment living room was finally about to transform into my own personal movie theater minus the overpriced popcorn and sticky seats. I parked my car, adrenaline humming in my veins, and watched as two hefty movers wrestled the massive box out off the truck. The glossy screen shimmered in the sunlight like a giant obsidian mirror, reflecting all my dreams of weekend binge watching in glorious high definition. I stepped back, pretending to be calm, but inside I was practically vibrating with excitement. And then I heard a sharp, shrill scream slicing straight through the peaceful suburban air. I froze. "Excuse me." I turned slowly. Of course. There she was, Mrs. Karen Whitmore, Hoa president, eternally tanned, perfectly blow-dried, standing with her hands planted firmly on her hips, glaring as though the sun itself were breaking Hoa code. "Do you have any idea what you're doing?" she demanded, her voice trembling somewhere between indignation and delight. I swallowed. I ordered a TV. It's being delivered." "A 75-inch TV?" she gasped, eyes ballooning. "Do you understand how disruptive that is to the neighborhood? The reflections alone could blind small children, and the vibrations. People might feel the floor shake." I blinked, trying very hard not to laugh. "It's a TV. Inside my house." "Inside?" Her voice didn't just rise. It detonated. "Your walls aren't soundproof. The sound from movies, explosions, screaming, and car chases, it will echo across our entire cul-de-sac. This is completely unacceptable." The movers exchanged glances, silently debating whether they should call for backup. I muttered, "It's really not that loud." But she had already stormed down the sidewalk, phone in hand, ready to document whatever imaginary neighborhood felony she believed was unfolding. I tried reasoning with her, my voice calm but dripping with sarcasm. "Karen, it's just a TV. I'm not launching missiles." Her eyes narrowed into shards of ice. "This is community safety. You're disrupting the peace, and I will be filing a complaint with the Hoa immediately. This is chaos incarnate." She planted herself in the driveway as if I were about to detonate a bomb, not unbox a television. The movers gently set the massive box inside my living room while she muttered about societal decay, irresponsible neighbors, and moral collapse. I closed the door on her rambling, leaning against it as my heart pounded, part excitement, part disbelief. Who knew a TV could trigger a full-scale suburban meltdown? And then came the pounding. Hard, impatient, accusatory. I barely caught my breath before the knocking returned louder this time. I peeked through the peephole. Of course, it was Karen again. Her expression hovered somewhere between a hurricane and a tax audit. I could practically see steam rising off her perfectly styled hair. "May I come in?" she demanded, not bothering to wait for an answer. I hesitated, torn between politeness and the instinct to defend my newly delivered colossus. Sure? For what exactly?" "For community oversight," she declared, marching inside like she owned the deed. She stepped over my welcome mat with the kind of confidence usually reserved for judges and magicians. The movers were gone, so I gestured casually at the TV. "So, this is it. 75 inches of pure cinematic bliss." Karen's eyes widened as if I had just revealed a nuclear device. She tiptoed toward the screen, hands fluttering like she was afraid it might detonate. "I can feel it vibrating from here. And that reflection, don't even get me started. This is a hazard. Someone could trip over their own shadow." I blinked. "The reflection? It's just a TV." She ignored me entirely, scanning the room with the intensity of a detective cataloging evidence. "And these walls thin, flimsy. Your neighbors won't survive this. I'm talking insomnia, anxiety, a complete disruption of suburban tranquility." I leaned on the couch, trying to process the whirlwind of energy she radiated. "Karen, it's Friday night. People watch Netflix quietly. You might want to relax." Relax? Apparently, that word did not exist in her universe. She whipped out a measuring tape. We need to measure the distance from your TV to your neighbor's window for safety compliance. I watched, dumbfounded, as she paced back and forth, scribbling furious notes into a tiny notebook. Every stiff step seemed to amplify her outrage. Finally, she snapped her gaze toward me. Lips pursed tight. I'm filing a formal HOA violation report. This 75-inch monstrosity is a danger to the community. And don't think an apology will fix this. It's serious. My patience thinned, replaced with disbelief and barely suppressed laughter. Karen, it's inside my living room. I'm not projecting it onto the street. She froze, scandalized. And then she dropped the ultimate line. Your neighbor's cat might see it. And cats have sensitive dispositions. I stared at her, speechless. The only sound in the room was the soft hum of the new TV. Somewhere deep inside, I knew this was just the beginning. And just when I thought she might finally leave, she pulled out her phone and started live streaming. The moment I realized she was broadcasting, my stomach fell straight to my shoes. Karen was filming my living room, my new TV, my couch, my world's okayest neighbor, doormat to who knows how many viewers. Her voice carried that urgent, accusatory tone that made every word sound like a felony indictment. And here, we have a 75-inch screen, threatening the peace of our pristine community. She narrated, look at the reflection, blinding, and the vibrations, you can feel them from across the street. I pressed my hand to my forehead. Karen, you're making it sound like I installed a satellite cannon. She ignored me, zooming in dramatically on the screen, tapping it with manicured precision. We cannot allow this. Someone must hold this irresponsible neighbor accountable. The HOA has rules. Arguing on her livestream would have only made things worse, so I stayed calm. Karen, it's a TV. I'm not hosting a rock concert. I'm not setting off fireworks. Really? She snapped, her frown capable of curdling milk. You don't understand the psychological impact of such a gargantuan device. The community standards. That's when I heard another knock. My pulse sped up. I opened the door to find Greg, the HOA enforcement officer, standing there with his signature permanently confused expression. Hey, he said, glancing between Karen and me. Is everything okay? She's live streaming. Karen spun on him like a hawk. Greg, see? Even the neighbors are witnessing the threat. Tell him how disruptive this is. Greg squinted at the TV, then at me, clearly walking a fragile social tightrope. I mean, it's a TV, kind of big. Yeah, but it's inside. I don't think it's a neighborhood emergency, Greg said gently, shifting awkwardly. Karen's eyes narrowed to razor-thin slits. Greg, you will report this. Or would you prefer the entire HOA breathing down your neck? Next? Greg swallowed hard. I'll think about it, Karen huffed, pivoting back toward me with her phone still recording. See how serious this is? Everyone knows now. The whole community is watching. You are officially under scrutiny. I closed the door, palms sweating. My peaceful Friday night had mutated into a public spectacle, a slow-motion suburban disaster spiraling out of control. I sank onto the couch, inhaling deeply, trying to soothe the adrenaline skittering through my veins. That's when a chilling thought hit me. She wasn't finished. Sure enough, through the window, I watched Karen march toward the next house, phone held high, already plotting the next strike. By Saturday morning, my neighborhood felt like a tense war zone. Karen hadn't vanished like a normal person with hobbies. No, she prowled the streets with the intensity of a general inspecting troops, clipboard in one hand, phone live streaming her every breath. Every jogger, dog walker, and mail carrier became either a witness or an accomplice in her expanding tale of suburban chaos. I attempted a quiet breakfast, coffee warming my hands, though every crunch of toast felt like a gunshot in her mind. And right on cue, as I poured the last splash of milk into my cereal, she appeared at my window. She wore sunglasses, now big, dark, dramatic, like a cinematic villain ready to monologue. Good morning, I called, forcing cheerfulness into my voice. Good morning, she replied, tone cold as a freezer aisle. Her brows knitted like she smelled something criminal. Do you realize the disruption you've already caused? People are talking. They're concerned. This is a violation of every unwritten law of the street. I tried reasoning again. Karen, it's Saturday. Most people are at work or sleeping in. How is anyone being disrupted? Her eyes darted across the street like she was tracking invisible danger. They will be disrupted, even if they don't realize it yet. The vibrations from your television are propagating through the air. And don't get me started on the psychological impact of its sheer size. It's intimidating. It's oppressive. It's un-American. I blinked. Un-American? Really? Yes, she declared, stabbing a finger dramatically toward the sky. We must preserve community values. We must protect the peace. We must. I held up a hand. Karen, you're giving a TED talk to my kitchen window. Nobody asked for this. Literally, nobody, but she didn't hear me. Instead, she yanked out her phone and began tapping with furious speed. My worst fear materialized instantly. She was drafting a formal HOA complaint. Diagrams, witness statements, trajectory notes. I swear she was calculating the angle of sunlight bouncing off my TV. I decided to fight back. Calmly, of course. I stepped inside, grabbed my own phone, and began documenting her antics. If she wanted records, I'd keep records. The moment I pointed the camera at her, she froze, then smiled a slow, sinister grin. Oh, you think you can record me? Remember, I also have a phone, and everyone will see your reckless behavior. The tension tightened like a rope. We were in a standoff. Two armies armed with smartphones and righteous indignation, staring each other down across my modest front lawn. Then from the corner of my eye I noticed movement. The HOA board president himself was pulling up, staring directly at my house. My stomach dropped like a stone. By the time he stepped out of his car, my calm Saturday was gone. Karen greeted him with the enthusiasm of someone exposing a criminal mastermind. Phone raised, voice sharp. Drama at maximum. Mr. Thompson, she sang, practically vibrating with purpose. You must see what this neighbor has done. A 75-inch monstrosity. Disruptive, dangerous, psychologically destabilizing. I held up my hands. Mr. Thompson, I swear it's just a TV. Inside my house. It's not a hazard. No one's in danger. Karen gasped like I'd insulted her entire family. Inside? You think that excuse means anything? The reflection, the vibrations, the community anxiety. This is an emergency. A precedent must be set. Mr. Thompson rubbed his temples, looking between us. Well, we usually handle these through written complaints. Maybe a warning first. No one's called the police yet, right? Karen's jaw dropped. A warning? Are you insane? This is a travesty of community governance. The whole neighborhood will suffer if we let this slide. I sighed, the absurdity hitting me square in the chest. It's a TV. I measured the volume. It's normal. I haven't even watched it at full blast. Karen clutched her invisible pearls as if I'd confessed to arson. Normal limits? You clearly don't understand the ripple effects of modern technology on our serene environment. People's lives are at stake. Mr. Thompson tried to mediate. Karen, let's ease into this. We'll document everything and handle it officially. But she was far from finished. She leaned forward, voice low, deadly serious. Document it? I've already started a petition. And if this board does not act immediately, I will escalate. Escalate. The word crawled under my skin. My quiet suburb was dissolving into a battlefield of HOA politics. Karen's crusade was relentless. And now official oversight loomed over me. I glanced at my 75-inch TV, gleaming innocently in the sunlight, a silent witness to the madness. It was supposed to bring joy and entertainment. Instead, it had become the symbol of a civil war. Karen stepped back triumphantly, phone raised like a victory flag. But then unexpectedly, Mr. Thompson turned to her with a strange twitch in his eye. Karen, are you sure this isn't personal? Her smile faltered, just for a moment. But only a moment. By Sunday morning, my living room had become the epicenter of an all-out suburban spectacle. Karen was everywhere, on the sidewalk, across the street, peeking into my neighbor's windows, phone raised like a general surveying enemy territory. The HOA even delivered an official warning letter, which she waved proudly like a trophy. I tried ignoring her. Really, I did. I turned on my new TV to a moderate volume, hoping a gentle nature documentary would drown out the lingering chaos. But Karen anticipated that. Within minutes, she appeared at my window, lips pinched in moral outrage. "You cannot hide behind your screens," she shrieked. "Your 75-inch monstrosity is an affront to suburban living, a public hazard." I opened the door, hands up. "Karen, it's a TV inside my house. You've been reporting me, live streaming me, spying on my windows. It's exhausting." She ignored me completely. Instead, she spun around and marched into the middle of the street, clipboard lifted like a battle standard. "Neighbors," she cried, "witness the chaos. Witness the tyranny of technology." Across the cul-de-sac, people peeked out of windows and doorways, some amused, some horrified, some clutching coffee like it was a lifeline. A few waved at me supportively, while others retreated behind curtains. Karen's had gone public, and the Hoa had accidentally become her accomplice. I raised my phone, recording everything. "You know," I said, louder than intended, "if anyone here is being disrupted, it's me by you, Karen." She whirled toward me, eyes blazing. "How dare you, Karen," I said calmly, stepping forward. "I bought a TV, not a megaphone for chaos. Maybe it's time to chill." For a split second, I saw something like hesitation flicker in her eyes. Her clipboard trembled. "Chill?" she whispered, scandalized. "I cannot. This is my duty." But then right at that moment something miraculous happened. Across the street, a neighbor's young child waved excitedly at the TV through my window, shouting, "Cool TV." The moment was tiny, simple, human, and it sliced through the tension like a knife. Karen froze, caught between fury and confusion as innocent enthusiasm shattered her carefully constructed narrative. I exhaled slowly, leaning against my 75-inch monument. The battle wasn't truly over. Karen would regroup. She always did. But for now, the neighborhood paused. The absurdity settled over us like a fog. One TV, one relentless Hoa queen, and a quiet Sunday that had morphed into a full-blown cinematic battleground. As I finally pressed play on the movie I'd been waiting all week to watch, a realization washed over me. Peace isn't always about silence. Sometimes it's surviving the chaos with your sanity and your TV intact. The screen flickered to life, and somewhere outside, Karen muttered something about next weekend, promising a sequel I definitely wasn't ready for. If you felt the tension in this story, hit like, because ordinary people standing up to chaos deserve support. Subscribe to Karen's Hub for real-life showdowns and neighborhood drama. And tell me in the comments, how would you handle a Karen like this?